Welcome back to another episode of Scholastic IQ. I'm your host, Ethan Neer, and we have a great show in store for you tonight. So let's go ahead and introduce our teams. On the bottom, we have Mater Dei with Garrett, Keegan, Kaylee, and Owen. And up top, we have Shawnee with Elaine, Carmen, Emma, and Miranda. Now, before we get into our questions, let's just do a quick recap of our rules. We'll start out with some toss-up questions. Those are worth 10 points. If a team gets it right, they move on to a bonus question, which is worth 20 and can be stolen for 10. You guys are allowed to interrupt me at any time, but if you interrupt me and get a question wrong, it is 5 points for the other team, so just be right, and we don't got a problem. All right? If everybody's ready, let's get into the questions. What person who was the subject of the elegies "When Lilacs Last in the Dooryard Bloomed" and "O Captain, My Captain" was assassinated in 1865? Kaylee.
Abraham Lincoln.
That's correct, well done. For your bonus, in U.S. elections, what is the term for a system in which locals gather to discuss and vote on candidates, as exemplified by Iowa's nomination process?
Primary.
Primary is incorrect. Shawnee, chance to steal.
General.
General is also incorrect. The answer we're looking for was, I believe I heard it, caucus. Caucus. I'll take us to our next question. What battle, which included clashes at Freeman's Farm and Bemis Heights in upstate New York in 1777, motivated France to enter the Revolutionary War? Garrett.
The Battle of Saratoga.
Battle of Saratoga is correct. Well done. For your bonus, in 2022, Barry Sharpless won his second Nobel Prize in what field, whose first Nobel winner was Jacobus von Hoff?
Physics.
Physics is incorrect. Shawnee, chance to steal. These are all out of time. The answer we're looking for there was chemistry. Chemistry. On your next question, pencil and paper ready. What is the difference that results from evaluating the expression 1/2 minus 2/9? 1/2 minus 2/9. Keegan.
5/18.
5/18 is correct. Well done. For your bonus, a riot occurred at a performance of what author's play, The Plough and the Stars, which is part of his Dublin trilogy, along with Juno and the Paycock. There's all the time. Shawnee, chance to steal.
No response.
The answer we're looking for there was a Sean O'Casey. Sean O'Casey. The next toss-up. What African-American director, known for being a regular at New York Knicks games, depicted a hot day in Bedford-Stuyvesant in Do the Right Thing? Was also the director of Black Klansman. It is Spike Lee. Spike Lee. The next question. What man who conducted Beethoven's Ninth Symphony in 1989 at the Berlin Wall is played by Bradley Cooper in the film Maestro and wrote West Side Story? There's all the time. The answer looking for was Leonard Bernstein. Leonard Bernstein. Your next question. What process, which the Melfusson-Stahl experiment showed his semi-conservative, involves unwinding and copying of a double helix-shaped molecule? Keegan.
Cloning.
Will we accept cloning? We will not accept cloning. Carmen.
Regeneration.
Is also incorrect. It is in the same vein as cloning. It's a DNA replication. DNA replication. And that'll take us to our first media question. This social media app is used for creators and artists. Elaine.
Pinterest.
Pinterest is correct. Well done. And since that is a media question, there is no bonus question, so we'll just take it back to the toss-ups. What senator was the only Republican to vote to convict in Donald Trump's first impeachment, is from Utah, and lost to the 20... Garrett.
Mitt Romney.
Mitt Romney is correct. Well done. For your bonus, what island in Lake Huron, which has almost entirely banned cars, shares its name with a strait between Michigan's Upper Peninsula and Lower Peninsulas?
Mackinac.
Mackinac Island is correct. Well done. For your next question, what leader who alongside Andrew de Moray won the Battle of Stirling Bridge was executed in 1305 after leading the Scottish against the English? Owen.
William?
That is incorrect. It wasn't just William, it was William Wallace, importantly. William Wallace. Your next question. What phenomenon exhibited by ozone and benzene, in which delocalized electrons stabilize a molecule, is represented by multiple Lewis dot structures? Garrett.
Covalent bonds.
That is incorrect. The answer we're looking for there was resonance. Resonance. Next toss-up. What country in which Alberto Núñez Feijóo led the opposition People's Party has been governed since 2018 by the PSOE under Premier Pedro Sanchez? Garrett.
Argentina.
That's incorrect. The answer we're looking for there is Spain. Spain. For your next question, what Asian nation has been led by the People's Action Party since its 1963 expulsion from Malaysia and lies at the tip of the Malay Peninsula? Garrett.
Singapore.
Singapore is correct. Well done. For your bonus, what adjective which names a branch of math that studies logic and graph theory also denotes variables that are not continuous?
Rational.
That's incorrect. Shawnee, chance to steal.
No response.
Answer looking for is discrete or discrete variables. For our next toss-up, what objects which interact at transform, convergent, and divergent boundaries are massive slabs of rock? Garrett.
Tectonic plates.
That's correct. Well done. For your bonus, what composer's only comic opera was a 4-hour-long work about German troubadours, the master singers of Nuremberg?
No answer.
Shawnee, chance to steal. There's all the time. The answer looking for was Richard Wagner. Richard Wagner. And that'll take us to our next media question. This character is from the hit cartoon show Stephen Carmen.
Lapis Lazuli.
Lapis Lazuli is correct. Well done. I'll take us back to our toss-ups. What novel in which writer F. Alexander plays classical music to punish Alex for an act of ultra-violence is a dystopian book? Garrett.
Clockwork Orange.
Clockwork Orange is correct. Well done. For your bonus, what term taken from the part of the German word for lightning war refers to the German bombing campaign against England during World War II?
Blitzkrieg.
That is incorrect. Shawnee, chance to steal. It was not the full Blitzkrieg we were looking for. It was just the Blitz. The Blitz. Next toss-up. What politician who upon his 2022 election endorsed the Uluru Statement from the Heart is the current Labour Party Prime Minister of Australia? The answer looking for there was Anthony Albanese. Anthony Albanese. For your next toss-up, what ocean whose only U.S. naval facility lies on the island of Diego Garcia includes the Arabian Sea and the island nation of Sri Lanka? Garrett.
The Indian Ocean.
Indian Ocean is correct. For your bonus, what musician from Minnesota, who briefly changed his stage name to an unpronounceable love symbol, sang the songs Raspberry Beret and Purple Rain?
Prince.
Prince is correct. Well done. For your next toss-up, what type of a biome, whose name comes from the Finnish for treeless plain, is characterized by permafrost and extremely... Owen.
Tundra.
Tundra is correct. Well done. For your bonus, what law, named for a French chemist, states that at constant volume, the pressure of a gas is directly proportional to its temperature?
Gay-Lussac's law.
Gay-Lussac's law is correct. Well done. Your next toss-up. What author of pastoral poem Allegro sought to justify the ways of God to man by portraying Adam's expulsion from Eden in the epic Paradise Lost? The answer we're looking for there was John Milton. John Milton. Your next question. What man shown in the Lansdowne portrait was saved by slave Paul Jennings during the War of 1812 is also seen in a portrait used on the $1 bill? Keegan.
George Washington.
George Washington is correct. For your bonus, what geometric diagram is often used to show the order of key signatures as sharps and flats are added to C major and is named after an interval? So you guys are out of time. Shawnee, chance to steal. The answer we're looking for was circle of fifths. Circle of fifths. And that'll take us to our next media question. This song was released by Cavetown in 2018 and uses symbolism to talk about anxiety and inner negativity. This song is also titled after a breed of tomatoes by the same name. Name this song. Owen,
Nightshade.
can you repeat that one?
Nightshade.
That's incorrect. Carmen.
Lemon Boy.
Lemon Boy is correct. Well done. And I'll take us back to our toss-ups and pencil and paper ready. How many hours are needed to fill a 3-foot by 4-foot by 5-foot rectangular prism if water is added at 3 cubic feet per hour? Keegan.
20 hours.
20 hours is correct. Well done. For your bonus, what U.S. territory, formed by a namesake 1787 ordinance, prohibited slavery and was eventually converted into states like Ohio and Wisconsin?
Northwest Territory.
Northwest Territory is correct. Well done. And that will take us to our lightning round. The way our lightning round works is each team will have 60 seconds to answer as many questions as they can about a certain topic. Now, Shawnee, since you guys are trailing in this one, you get your first choice of the categories. Your choices are polynomials, historical Black Americans, NBA playoffs, or atoms.
NBA playoffs.
NBA playoffs it is. Answer the following about the 2023 NBA playoffs. 60 seconds on the clock. I will count you down. 3, 2, 1. Mile High City, whose Nuggets won? You can also pass.
Pass.
Nuggets center named the Joker, who was MVP finals, or MVP in the finals.
Pass.
Florida team that lost in the final.
Florida Gators.
That's incorrect. Category in which Anthony Davis led the playoffs with 3.1 per game.
Pass.
Warriors point guard who scored 50 points in a Game 7.
Steve Matlock.
That's incorrect. Celtics forward who scored 51 points in a Game 7.
Pass.
You guys are all out of time, so we will go through the ones that you missed. The Mile High City whose Nuggets won was Denver. The Nuggets center named the Joker, who was Finals MVP, is Nikola Jokic. The Florida team that lost in the finals was the Miami Heat. The category in which Anthony Davis led the playoffs with 3.1 per game is blocks. The Warriors point guard who scored 50 points in a Game 7 is Steph Curry. The Celtics forward who scored 51 points in a Game 7 was Jason Tatum. Greek Freak, injured in the very first game, was Giannis Antetokounmpo. The Phoenix guard who led playoffs in points per game was Devin Booker. The team with LeBron James that lost in the conference finals was the LA Lakers. And the team with Mikal Bridges, swept by the 76ers in the first round, was the Brooklyn Nets. All right, Mater Dei, now it is your guys' choice. Your choices are atoms, polynomials, or historic Black Americans.
We'd like polynomials, please.
Polynomials it is. All right, answer the following about polynomials. 60 seconds on the clock. I will count you down. 3, 2, 1. Output of a polynomial at a root. You can pass.
Pass.
Maximum number of roots of a quadratic, of a quartic. Quantity equal to b squared minus 4ac for quadratics.
Quadratic equation.
That's incorrect. French namesake of a rule of signs for roots.
Pass.
Function made by dividing one polynomial by another.
Pass.
Term for the largest exponent of the variable in a polynomial.
The degree.
Repeated root of x squared plus 4x plus 4.
Pass.
Only real root of x to the fifth minus 243. So you guys are all out of time, so we will go through the ones that you missed. The output of a polynomial at a root is 0. The quantity equal to b squared minus 4ac for quadratics is discriminant. The French namesake for a rule of signs for roots is René Descartes. The function made by dividing one polynomial by another is a rational function. The repeated root of x squared plus 4x plus 4 is -2. The only real root of x to the fifth minus 243 is 3. The theorem stating any non-constant polynomial has a root is the fundamental theorem of algebra, and the lowest degree of polynomial not generally solvable in radicals is degree 5. All right, so let's take a look at our scores after the lightning round. We have Mater Dei on top 200 over Shawnee's 30. All right, with that, let's take it back to our toss-up questions. What state, which contains the eastern portion of Treasure Valley, is home to the city of Coeur d'Alene in its panhandle and is governed from Boise? Keegan.
Idaho.
Idaho is correct. For your bonus, a book of sketches by Leo Tolstoy is named for what Black Sea port that was besieged for 11 months during the Crimean War?
Sevastopol.
Sevastopol is correct. Well done. Your next toss-up. Holders of what national executive post included a man killed during the years of lead by the Red Brigades, Aldo Moro, as well as Silvio Berlusconi? The answer we're looking for was the Prime Ministers of Italy. Prime Ministers of Italy. For your next question, what singer who claims gravity's holding me back and in this world it's just us in the 2022 song Kaylee?
Harry Styles.
Harry Styles is correct. For your bonus, what monarch oversaw a loss for his country in the Liovian War after 25 years of fighting and was the first to use the title Tsar of all Russia?
Peter.
That is incorrect. Shawnee, chance to steal. So you guys are all out of time. The answer we're looking for was Ivan the Terrible. Ivan the Terrible. For your next toss-up, what systems whose rotation curves gave early evidence of dark matter may have a central bar of stars and includes Andromeda and the Milky Way? Garrett.
Galaxies.
We need more than just galaxies.
Spiral galaxies.
Spiral galaxies is correct. Well done. For your bonus, the only heart valve with 2 leaflets is what valve that resembles a bishop's hat?
Aorta.
That's incorrect. Shawnee, chance to steal.
No response.
The answer we're looking for was mitral. Mitral. Your next toss-up. What character owns a Yankees cap that turns her invisible, traveled with Luke and Talia? Garrett.
Annabeth.
Annabeth is correct. Well done. For your bonus, the silver cyprinid, known in Swahili as daga, and the invasive Nile perch make up the majority of the fish caught in what largest lake in Africa?
Lake Victoria.
Lake Victoria is correct. Well done. And that'll take us to our next media question. Dipper Pines and his twin sister Mabel are Elaine.
Gravity Falls.
Gravity Falls is correct. Well done. Back to the toss-ups. What genus is known to have contained the species Bodoensis, Rhodesiensis, Lutoniensis, Heidelbergiensis, Denisova, Habilis, Erectus, and Sapiens? Keegan.
Homo.
Homo is correct. Well done. For your bonus, in 2023, what Asian country began to abolish an unusual age counting system in which a 2-day-old baby could conceivably be considered 2 years old?
Korea.
I believe we need more than just Korea.
South Korea.
South Korea is correct. For your next toss-up, what materials in which holes can be created via doping with impurities includes silicon and have conductivities between insulators and conductors? Garrett.
Semiconductors.
Semiconductors is correct. Well done. For your bonus, Vincent van Gogh used a chrome pigment in a series of paintings of vases containing what plants intended as decoration for the Yellow House?
Dandelion.
That's incorrect. Shawnee, chance to steal.
Sunflowers.
Sunflower is correct. Well done. The next toss-up, what sculpture discovered in 1820 near an island in the Aegean Sea is believed to depict a goddess of love and is missing both of its arms? Owen.
Aphrodite.
We need more than just Aphrodite.
Statue of Aphrodite.
That's incorrect. So you're right, it is Aphrodite, but we were looking for specifically Aphrodite of Milos. Aphrodite of Milos. Next toss-up, what Auckland native joined an expedition led by John Hunt, on which he and Tenzing Norgay became the first people to reach the top of Mount Everest? The answer we're looking for there was Sir Edmund Hillary. Sir Edmund Hillary. The next question, what river whose islands include Grand Jatte empties into the English Channel near Le Havre and is spanned by the Pont Neuf Bridge in Paris? Garrett.
The Seine.
The Seine is correct. Well done. For your bonus, a 1963 children's book by Peggy Parrish introduced what title housekeeper who often creates chaos by taking instructions too literally?
No answer.
Shawnee, chance to steal?
Amelia Bedelia.
Amelia Bedelia is correct. Well done, Shawnee. And that is all the time we have for on today's show. We have Mater Dei coming on top over Shawnee. So well done to both of you guys, and great job. Now, for all the people working hard behind the scenes and our lovely contestants here today, I'm Ethan Neer. Thank you so much, and good night.